Broadcast is live.
Hey, what's going on, fans? To all the boxing and basketball fans, this is Sean with Boxing and Basketball with my co host, T. Diddy, Lorenzo Smith, my boy. Listen, it's been a while. Me and T. Diddy been knowing each other for some years now. But listen, we're trying to start something, start off the new year. T. Diddy always talking about, he loves the co-host to talk about basketball. As long as it's about the Lakers, that's why he's wearing the yellow. And then also, if those of y'all that don't know, uh, T Diddy is also a professional heavyweight boxer as well.
Oh yeah, hold on. Let me go get my title, my championship. Hold on.
Okay. All right. So while T Diddy's gonna get that, like I said, we're gonna try to do every Monday at 9 p.m. Central. We're gonna try our best to do a live stream every Monday where we try to recap the fights that happened over the weekend and also the fights that are upcoming. So every Monday at 9, there it is. Got the ABF title.
Yeah, man.
Where did you win that one at?
Yeah, I won this one right where my head say
Columbia.
Yeah.
Oh man. So what was it like fighting down in Columbia? Did you like going down there?
Columbia is where do I start, man? Where do I start? You see, I got the hat on, but it's just unreal. It's a wonderful place. I always wanted to go there, watching Narcos and hearing about Pablo Escobar back in the days. So actually, like, being out there in various parts of the country is like amazing to experience it. Like, the culture is so much different than the United States. I mean, it's like night and day, actually.
Okay. All right. Listen. So before we get started and we start talking about the upcoming fights, we're going to drop this video real quick for everybody.
Make sure you hit the new thanks button down below to donate to our YouTube channel so we can keep bringing you fresh content.
All right, there you have it. Make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure you drop some money down in the comments. Hook me and T Diddy up so we can get paid. Hey, listen, T Diddy don't need to get paid. This dude's already a millionaire with all the fights he's going to.
Don't believe that, man. Everybody needs to get paid. Everybody needs to get paid. Even Bill Gates trying to find ways to make more money. So everybody needs to get paid. You got to keep grinding.
I hear that. So T Diddy, before we get into it, before we talk about the upcoming fight this weekend on pay-per-view, the Ortiz versus Martin, tell everybody a little bit about your background, as far as like when did you start boxing, and some of the where do you box at, where do you train at, and some of the big name fighters that you fought already.
Yeah, I'm very proud to see that. It was one point that I checked in the U.S. rankings that in the top 10 fighters, I had fought already 6 of the top 10 fighters in the world. So it's like, just moving forward in my career, it really motivates me when I see guys that I have competed against become world champions, or I fought like 3-4 heavyweight champions of the world. Like, so it's like your resume, because when you fight somebody else who's lower than them, you have no fear versus like, okay, I fought Mike Tyson. Like, why am I be scared of Trevor Burbick? You know what I mean? So it's like, Is this a mentality, especially if you fight and compete? Because you want to feel out these guys. You always wonder how the competition feels at the highest of the levels. So once you do get to a high level and you fight top tier guys, and then when you come down to fight normal guys or below average guys, it's like your confidence is through the roof. And what you're doing is, everything you're doing is a building process. So you try to build up where you can go for a good title shot again. So you fight, you keep working. And boxing is about repetition. So it's like it's just repetition. So getting your hands wrapped, going through the routine in a locker room, walking out to your music, hearing the crowd roar. Like every time I fight, I'm going through these same repetitions, becoming more acclimated with them. I feel a little better than I felt the last fight. And then when I fight again, I feel a little better walking out there. I have a few less butterflies in my stomach.
Right.
So it's good that, like, even when you're building yourself up, constant repetition, constant activity, because inactivity is the enemy of all athletes. And the fact that, you know, I'm fighting every month, every 2 months, I'm like one of the most active fighters right now. So it's like the fighters who, like Gary Russell, they fight once a year. Mayweather was fighting once a year, you know, and I'm fighting 12 times a year. So it's like, it's just going through it. And then also fighters that balloon up in weight, you know, if you're always fighting, you're always in camp, you don't really have time to just balloon up in weight. But if you're off for 4 months, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, like Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury was off for 2 years between fights. You know, it's like a lot can change with your body and your molecular structure and in a time period. You know, depending on only a few boxers like Bernard Hopkins have been very disciplined to train year round, and Roy Jones Jr., where their health is their wealth, and they're always ready and they're always healthy, and they always, you know, and you see it in their performances.
Right. And you know what, T, it's funny that you said about, you know, staying active, being in the gym. And I think a lot of times fighters, when they make those millions of dollars, they get lazy. You know, they don't hop in there as much as they should. But with that, one thing I love about Floyd Mayweather, even though he's made millions and millions and millions of dollars, Floyd always makes sure when he's at the higher echelon, he always fought twice a year, which is usually going to be Cinco de Mayo and then also in September for the other Mexican holiday. So with Floyd, you know he's going to fight twice a year no matter how much money he's making. But you're right. I think that hurts a lot of fighters that make the millions and they feel like, well, I could take a year and a half off, 2 years off. I got a lot of money in my bank account.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's like basketball. It's like if you're playing basketball, you have shoot around drills. You want to get shots up. Kobe got up. His routine was 1,000 makes per day. Like, so, you know, how can a basketball player who shoots 50 shots a day or every 2 days be the guy that doing 1,000 makes per day? Like like Kobe said, once you work so hard, the gap between you and the competition becomes so wide that they can never catch up. And that's what it is. Like right now, I've been fighting every month, and it's like, it's just kind of like, it got rid of so many butterflies because I'm always doing it, and I'm always in this feeling, and I'm always in this situation. So my rank's been building up with every fight. So as soon as, you know, I'm just looking for a big fight. They had called me for a big fight maybe 2-3 weeks ago to fight Philip Hergovich. And I accepted the fight, but they ended up, what they did is they doled the fight out to like 5, 6, 7, 8 different heavyweights. And as soon as I accepted it, somebody had sent back in the contract accepting it also. So it was kind of like a auction. Everybody was trying to get it because they're paying big money because that guy, he's knocking everybody out. So, and he's fighting on pay-per-view. So, you know, I'm building up for a real big fight. And then that's why I want to see where it goes from there. So I'm putting in the groundwork right now. In the past, I've been serious about boxing. I've been not serious about boxing. But what I did, I always had heart. So I would fight people. Some of my losses were 90 or 95% of my losses are not actual losses. And that's something that the boxing community doesn't understand, that if they see a guy fight and they see a guy lose, they're like, oh, he lost, or oh, he's sorry. But they don't know. It's always a backstory in boxing. It's always a backstory most of the time. I mean, a fair and square fight is you train for 8 weeks, I train for 8 weeks. We get in there and we fight it out. You train for 12 weeks, I train for 12 weeks. We get in there and fight it out. Like the guy that fought Mayweather, he trained for 16 weeks. You get in there and you fight it out. May the best man win. But if a guy, like when I fought Shannon Briggs, a guy that's been in training camp for 6 months, and then they called me on 2 days' notice, and you have to be there. Basically, when I accepted the fight, I only had time to get on the plane because you got to make the weigh-in 1 day before the fight. Right. And I didn't have time, to train, to run, the spar, or nothing. And then you go in there, but I turned them down 5 times. Every time they called me back, they added money to the offer. And I've been up with money, I've been down with money. That was during the downtime. Right. And once they call you with that magic number of money, you can have this in 2 days, more than you're gonna make all year. Right. Sometimes boxers like, forget it. This ain't my first loss. I just get in there, take this money, and then I'll go train for real and start winning some other fights, and then I get a shot back. That's kind of was my mentality. And some people like, they might see your performance, or they might laugh at your performance, or they might really think the other guy is that good. But always do your homework make sure it's a fair fight. Both guys train and one guy beats another guy, that's a fair fight. Right. But they're not gonna tell you these backstories on the telecast because they want the local champion or the main event guy to look good. Sometimes they say, yeah, this guy filled in on short notice, but they don't make too much of it. Like they speak on it, and then once the performance starts, they kind of just go with the performance. So
and look, T Diddy, listen.
Boxing is, and like they say, if you stay ready, you have to get ready, and that's something I didn't really know early in my career, just to stay ready, because they don't want to give you a fair fight to fight these champions. They want to catch you at a disadvantage. If I can fight a guy with a good record, 17-0, 17-1, but I get him on 1 week notice. Now when I beat him, I just beat a 17-0 guy, but really no, I just beat somebody who wasn't in shape. But now I get the rank up on his record. So that's just kind of a backstory. So I always get research, because it's a lot that goes into these fights to make a guy successful or not successful.
All right. And let's take a look at this. I'm going to share the screen real quick. Give me a second. All right, right here. We're going to share this on the screen. All right, so let's take a look at T Diddy's resume. And to say, look at some of these guys. So you got one here. People don't realize, man, you fought Andy Ruiz, which was once the heavyweight champion. Tor Hammer, which was an up-and-coming guy. He was really good. Charles Martin, who's actually fighting this weekend, which we're going to talk about a little bit, against Luis Ortiz. Shannon Briggs fight that you talked about, where you fought Shannon Briggs. Adam Kanaki. I mean, that dude was ripping through people until his last 2 fights against Robert Helenas. I mean, nobody was wanting to face him. You got Chris Arreola on here. You fought Chris Arreola, which is one of the top Mexicans at one time. You got on here just a resume of fighters that people don't realize, man, that you've been in the ring with. Out of all those guys, out of those top guys that I named, the more famous names, who was the toughest one out of all those guys I just named? Just the ones I named.
Well, that's hard to say, because if you listen to anything that I just said, a lot of those fights were taken on short notice. So it's like I really can't gauge a guy when, I don't have enough energy to get from the couch to the refrigerator. Like, it's a couple, like I would say I really can't give any of those guys too much credit for beating me because there were circumstances like if I go down the list, Andy Ruiz, I was in the best shape of my life when I fought Andy Ruiz. Like I was ready to emerge on the boxing scene and become a potential world champion, a millionaire fighter, everything. Like everything I had done leading up to that point was hard work and dedication.
Right.
And that's the fight that kind of turned my career on a downward trot because I got cheated out of that fight. And the world never, even me, forget the world, I never got to see what I can really do when I'm in full shape against a top tier world champion like Andy Ruiz. I was in the best shape of my life, and we had a 8-10 round fight. This is the funny part. He was 15-0, and really I was 15-0. But the record was different because I had 2 draws and that I really won in somebody's hometown, so they gave me a draw and different things like that. But Andy Ruiz hit me behind the head twice, and I blacked out, and he did a kind of takedown slam on me. And Kenny Bayless, who is a world-renowned referee, this was in Vegas, main event on the top rank card, and Kenny Bayless just counted me out instead of disqualifying Andy Ruiz or at least giving me 5 minutes to recover from an illegal shot. And I sent Andy Ruiz actually apologized to me after the fight. He said, "I know I hit you behind the head. My bad. I wasn't trying to." And then Kenny Bayless even apologized, talking about, "Man, I didn't see it. I was on the opposite side."
The fight's over by that time.
Apologies mean zero when I get the loss. You know what I'm saying? I got the loss. And the funny part is they actually put this fight. I sent this fight to all the boxing writers around the world, 10 boxing writers. And they all came back unanimously saying, "You got hit behind the head." All I said was, for anybody who watched that fight, and it's on YouTube, where did he land the knockout blows? The 2 blows that put me down, where did they land? Did he hit me in the temple? Did he hit me in the eye, the forehead, the nose, the mouth, the chin, the jawline, even the ear? Even though the ear is illegal, I'll give you the ear. Even the ear. If you could tell me where those 2 punches landed, I'll give you my championship belt right now. The first shot hit me behind the head, but the second shot was all the way like in the neck, all the way behind my head. I mean,
all right, let's do this. Let's do this. I filmed the fight. Let's pull it up.
Yeah, man, you could pull it. If you could pull it up and stream it, that would be great. That's it right there. And then they labeled it as devastating knockout by Andy Ruiz. It's even on his highlight reel. I'm like, what the hell?
All right, let's see what we got, T Diddy.
Hey, I want y'all to watch this, and then that's me, of course, the black guy, looking great. And
all right, let me
now y'all tell me where did
me meet the volume.
Yeah.
All right, I see you working that jab. Man, has Andy Ruiz ever been in shape? See, you got your little T Diddy on the shorts, boxing and moving, sticking and moving. Good body shot.
Body shot. That body shot was nasty.
I hear most heavyweights don't really feel body shots, most of them. All right, he's trying to throw the 1-2 hook on you. That's what he's trying to catch you with. Oh, yeah, right in the back of the head. Now I saw you pointing towards it, too. Let's back it up. Yep. Yeah, he definitely hit you in the back of the head. Yep, there it is. Hey, we can't hear you. Can you hear us? Hey, T Diddy, we can't hear you. Hey, T Diddy, check your audio, or come out of the stream and get back in. No. All right, for those of you out there that's asking, how old was that fight? Let's see when he fought him. He fought him September 2012. T Diddy, we can't hear you. We can't hear you at all. Hey, if you can hear me, you're going to have to get completely out and get back in. Let me text you. Close it completely and click link again. All right. We're removing T Diddy from out of it. Hopefully we'll be able to get him back in. We're in Houston, Texas. Let's see. Let's go back to this. All right, you don't know. I will stream this for sure.
Okay.
All right, there you go. We can hear you now. All right, so we got a couple questions here, T Diddy.
Okay.
Andy looked better in this fight
because even though I had blacked out, when I got up, I was just holding the back of my head like a natural reaction. Like if somebody come and steal you, like hit you without you seeing, your body automatically grabs where you've been hit. And if you look, even though I blacked out, I was grabbing the back of my head. Even when I got up, I wanted you to keep playing it. I was hitting the back of my head. Like, it's crazy.
Right. So, look, we got a couple people here. Andy looked better in this fight than most. Another guy said, how old is this fight? Another, I think that was 2012 where you fought Andy Ruiz. Yeah, so another question was, maybe a warning or a point deduction was also needed.
Thank you. Whoever said that. What's your name?
Dominique Lavelle.
Thank you. It's ridiculous. It's obvious though. I sent it to the Nevada because the fight was in Vegas. I sent it to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and they said we see the issue that it could be with the shot of but they said, but we're gonna go with the referee's ruling. They like they seen it, but they said we're gonna go with what the referee called. They didn't want to overturn it. I even said make it a no contest. Nobody win, nobody lose, and order a rematch. That would have been like the smartest, easiest thing to do because it was so obvious and blatant.
Right.
And they hurry up and pay me the money and tried to get me just to drop the subject. I was like
Right.
causing a lot of commotion for a minute. Then after a while, I just dropped it. And that's what kind of sent my career mentally kind of a downward spiral. I think I lost 5 fights in a row. I fought 5 undefeated fighters, and their combined record was like 96 wins or 100 wins and only 1 loss.
Wow.
With that fight, I just started fighting, and I was just going for the money. I would go to the decision, just lose decisions. Like, I would take quick fights, and I just didn't really care that much. And then finally, I got my head on straight, and I started back training. And then they called me for another fight that they wanted me to lose in. And the funny thing is, I had 5 straight losses. And they called me to fight a guy that was 19-1, 18-2 or something. His dad was a world champion. So it was bringing him up to be a world champion. And they brought me in off of 5 straight losses. He like almost 20-0 guy. I knocked the dude out in 2 rounds. And they was like, what the fuck happened? Like, this guy been losing, and this guy didn't fought these guys, and we brought him in, fought a new prospect, and I knocked him out with 1 shot. And after that, they got me another big fight, and I fought a guy that was like 40 wins, 4 losses with like 36 knockouts, and I beat him too. I retired him. He never fought after me. Like, I had started back training, so they was looking at those losses that really wasn't losses. And then I started coming in upsetting people. And then that's how I got the Charles Martin fight. That's how I got the big fights.
Right.
And I retired a lot of fighters too.
All right. So T Diddy, we got another comment.
But like a lot of fighters, like I'm their last fight ever because I gave this. I broke this guy's orbital socket in 2 places, and then that was it. But I'm very excited about this fight that you have in the background. Charles Martin, who I fought, versus Luis Ortiz, because Charles Martin is the only guy that I fought that I actually became friends with. And it kind of reminded me of like the Malik Scott and Deontay Wilder friendship. Like they were friends after they fought. And Malik Scott would come to every Deontay Wilder fight. So I just had a fight 2 weeks ago. I had my first title defense of this baby right here.
Okay.
And 2 weeks ago. And now I just bought a ticket. I'm going to Charles Martin. I will be ringside walking to the ring with Charles Martin on this fight that you got highlighted in the background. The Charles Martin, King Kong, Luis Ortiz fight. I will be there live, baby. So y'all going to see me and Charles Martin. And he about to shock the world because they got him on the B side. They got him on the losing side. So
listen, T Diddy, if you're gonna be there, man, definitely shoot some video for me while you're there. Behind the scenes, ask a few questions.
I can do some
and send it through the WhatsApp.
Martin, we just got off of FaceTime like an hour ago. And man, he's looking good, he's feeling good, his spirits are high.
Okay.
And it's an all heavyweight card, so I gotta be there. Like it's all
right. So T Diddy, we got another one here. Right here it says Ortiz Martin, not a pay-per-view, but I always said Ortiz and Ruiz should fight a long time ago. So what are your thoughts on another one? Hope Martin smokes Ortiz. So let's start off with the first one. So let's start off with this. Let's start with this, T Diddy. Now, I'm not sure if I can get a really good biased opinion out of you, being that you're friends with Charles Martin. But the question everybody's having a hard time is, why is this a pay-per-view fight? Why is this on Showtime or Fox? Why do we have to pay $39.99 for this fight? Is it pay-per-view worthy? All right,
I have the answer. Listen, this is what it is. Shout out to Al Heyman and PBC. Al Heyman makes sure all his fighters get paid. right? So
Yeah.
Al Heyman is guaranteeing Luis Ortiz a certain amount of money. Al Heyman is guaranteeing Charles Martin a certain kind of money. Then they got that big time undercard with Frank Sanchez and with that coffee guy, and it just
Yeah.
he
So
just made
so
sure
yeah,
to
we got we
generate.
got we got Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin, Frank Sanchez versus Carlos Negron, Jonathan Rice versus Michael Coffey, Gerald Washington versus Ali Demirazin, and then Victor Verkerst versus Igo Calades.
Well, that's a heavyweight explosion. Like heavyweights always run boxing. I'm not saying that just because I am a heavyweight, but
Right.
this is a beautiful card. And if you look at the pay-per-view prices recently, pay-per-view's been like $89.99, $79.99, $69.99. Mayweather's was $100. So a little $39.99. That ain't bad, man. That's not bad. And if you want to see the winners of these fights will be this a title eliminator. They will be the mandatory fight for the championships for Anthony Joshua, Usyk belts, or whatever. So y'all are actually watching the next heavyweight champions fight, and it's like 4 or 5 different heavyweight fights. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. That's what makes it worth the money. Al Heyman actually pays the guys, and he made sure that he can pay those guys. They're getting millions of dollars, and this ain't even a championship fight. So I'm totally down. I just bought a ticket to go there. I will be there ringside, live, weigh-in, press conference, and fight. So it'll be much easier for me to stay home and just click $39.99, but I'm actually gonna go. So I'm coming off a little bit of money.
All right. So Dominique said all facts. What you're saying, the card is good, and you don't know. Just said Ortiz is like 67 years old. So
Listen,
how do you think his age is going to play into against Charles Martin?
Let me quiet the rumors about Ortiz's age. I'm ranked top 30 in the USA of the heavyweights. I'm top 30 ranked. And I'm older than Ortiz. So, and I fight, I mean, my health, my conditioning, my stamina is great. So he's younger than me. He's fine. Don't get so caught up on the ages. Because if you take care of your body the correct way, you can fight longer. Look, George Foreman is the oldest person to ever win a heavyweight championship. He did that at 45, 46 years old. This guy's only 42. So he got 4 years gap. He's 4 years younger than what George Foreman was when he won the heavyweight title. So just get that. Back in the day, fighters retired at 35 years old. But now with nutrition, knowledge, health, and all the technology we have, is a totally different thing. So don't get so caught up on the ages. Ortiz fights hard. He fights good. He will knock anybody out if he catch him. So don't worry about Ortiz and his age. He's fine. And he's from the Cuban system. They dominated amateur boxing. They dominated the Olympic boxing. Anybody that you see that's a Cuban fighter has the best technique and IQ boxing. I mean, if you see Rigondeaux, you see Ortiz, you see Lara, Ezralandi Lara, you see Gamboa, you see any of those guys. He's Cuban. Mayweather was the first person to beat a Cuban in the Olympics in 16 years. So that's how much the Cubans dominate this boxing. So
look at this,
is a great fight. Don't even worry about that. Bernard Hopkins was winning fights at 50 years old. So please do your homework. Don't worry about 40 and 42 and 43. And these guys keep themselves healthy, they can fight. Don't worry. I was fighting probably 8 months ago. I fought a 21-year-old guy. I'm like, dang, my daughter's 20. He was full of energy. He was trying to knock me out. I knocked him out in the second, third round, knocked him out cold. Like, don't worry about that. It's about how you take care of yourself, and skills pay the bills, not age. Go ahead.
All right, so check this out, T Daddy. So Dominique came back and said Ortiz is tough though, and got skills and some power. He on levels as Dylan White. And then you don't know came back and said Parker would beat Ortiz too. What do you think about that? Joseph Parker? I'm assuming he's talking about Joseph Parker.
Man, listen, whoever said Parker would beat Ortiz, bet me. I'll bet on Ortiz all day long. You letting this Australian, New Zealand fruitcake, he gonna beat Tito? Or no.
Now listen, people don't realize Ortiz only has 2 losses, y'all, and those 2 losses are only to Deontay Wilder, which is a heavyweight knockout sensation. Besides that, nobody's knocking out Luis Ortiz or beating him.
And also point out that in both of those losses, he was winning every round. Like, right. He was dominating the champion, beating him. I was actually live. This is the second time I'm gonna see Luis Ortiz fight live ringside. I was at the first Deontay Wilder Luis Ortiz fight. It was in Brooklyn. It was in at the Barclays Center. I actually went ringside, and I was at that fight. Right. And that might have been the most exciting fight I've ever seen in my life. Right. And the second fight was even better. He won every round of the second fight until he got caught. So it's like, who have you ever seen do anything with Luis Ortiz? So I mean, right. don't discredit people. Just enjoy the fight.
They said Luis Ortiz was the only decent fighter that Wilder fought, and the rest were just dustmen.
Well, that's not true. That's definitely not true. Do I need to go over Wilder's resume? Because
Dominic came back and said, and he was winning the fight. He's going off of what you said.
Man, did you see the fight with Luis Ortiz and Brian Jennings? Shout out to Brian Jennings. That's my homeboy. But man, that was dominant. And
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you a fight that I wish I can go back in time. You know how they always talk about, if I can go back in this area and grab this guy, and I can go back in there and grab this guy. You know what? 2 guys I love to see fight each other. I don't know why, but I would just love to see Luis Ortiz versus the Nigerian Nightmare, Samuel Peter. Ooh. I just think that would just be a classic slugfest.
God, I met that guy live at Mayweather. I was training at Mayweather's gym one time, and I was sparring some fighters, and freaking Samuel Peter walked in. I thought I was finna spar him, but he didn't spar. I was like, damn, I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous. I was like,
he looked big? He looked thick and big.
Yeah, he's big, but he's not as tall as I thought he was.
But he's wide and strong,
he's
right?
Wide though, yeah. He's like a refrigerator. He's wide. I thought I was finna spar him at Mayweather's gym, but he just worked out on the bag, worked out on the pads, and that was it. But me and him, we talked, we took pictures and stuff. One time I was gonna fight him in Florida, also where this fight is. This Charles Martin,
Hollywood, Florida.
Kong Ortiz fight is in Florida. You know, you like Miami for a lot of, you like all them places. Come to the fight. I was gonna fight Samuel Peter because all the Cubans went to start living in Miami. Some kind of way they was like defecting. They was all living in Miami. And that's when I met Dorticos. And man, that boy, do you know who Dorticos is? He was in that cruiserweight
Bridgerweight?
Like Super 16 with Usyk and all them, and when all the top cruiserweight.
Oh yeah.
He made to the finals and Brady's and all them. Dorticos a gangster, man. I ain't gonna lie. That boy is a gangster, man. I'm telling you. Listen, this dude, I went to his fight because at the time I started off my career cruiserweight. we were both cruiserweight, so I thought I was gonna have to fight Dorticos. And man, this dude knocked out his opponent and knocked out the referee with one punch.
Wow.
I'm talking about the opponent and the referee sleep in the ring together, hugging. They both just sleep, just slump. That's when I was like, when he made it to world champion, I was like, I knew Dorticos was gonna make. That boy knocks out everything, and all he got is a 1-2. I'm like, damn. He would throw that 1-2 1,000 times, and when it hit, it's over. Like,
all right, hey, T Diddy,
Ronkus or something, Dorticos. Look him up, though.
Yeah,
that boy cold.
Hey, T Diddy, let me answer Chad Perez. He said the fact that they are charging for this fight is stupidity. As T Diddy mentioned earlier, he said even though it's not like a higher echelon fight like the Deontay Wilders and Anthony Joshua, the mere fact that you're only paying $39.99 is worth it. He said at least you're not paying the $69, $79, and $89. You're paying like half the price for an all heavyweight card. And he guarantees you when you have an all heavyweight card, you're going to get mostly nothing but knockouts. So the heavyweights, $39.99, the knockout you're going to get is going to be well worth it. Another guy said, back to Dominique, he wants to know off topic, but who won, Hagler or I'm pretty sure he meant to say Hearns. Hagler or Hearns. Me and my partner argue this all the time. Who won between the Hagler-Hearns fight?
Well, that fight was clearly Hagler. I think what he means is who won out of Hagler and Leonard, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Oh, that's what he meant.
Is disputed.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, maybe he meant to put that down. Who Hagler versus Leonard?
Hagler was the greatest slugfest ever. The greatest war ever in boxing.
Yeah, because he stopped him like the third round. He stopped him like the third round, right?
Yeah, he probably talking about Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard.
So he wants to know who do you think won that fight? He wants to know.
Hagler and Leonard or Hagler?
Yep. No, Hagler. Well, we know Hagler ended up knocking out Hearns, but Leonard.
Next question. I'm just like, but Max me anything. No, I'm just saying, but yeah, you talking about Leonard. Yeah, that's what you talking about.
Yeah.
Out of Hagler,
that's
Leonard,
what he said.
Man,
yeah.
Come on, baby.
He said him and his partner argue that all the time. Wants to know, what do you think?
Sugar Ray Leonard, the right man won the fight, man. Hagler tried to be slick, and he out-slicked his own self. That's the problem. Remember in that fight, Hagler came out the first 3 rounds and fought right-handed, and he's a southpaw. I know he thought, I'll throw Leonard off, and he only been sparring southpaws, and nobody expects me to come out and fight right-handed. But you got beat all them 3 rounds, so you gave away 3 rounds of the fight right from the get-go. You know what I mean? So come on, baby. Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard's smart. He beat him with his mind. Y'all thinking about who's stronger, who physically more intimidating. But think about boxing is a thinking man game. Sugar Ray just outthought him. He tried to outthink Sugar Ray by coming out right-handed, orthodox for the first 3 rounds, but he lost those 3 rounds. And then when he switched back to southpaw, he started whipping Sugar Ray. Well, he should have came out southpaw. He's a southpaw. And then also, that was brilliant what Ray Leonard was doing. He had one of his friends in the crowd that would holler out when it's 30 seconds left for each round, and he would flurry for the last 30 seconds of each round to try to steal the round. That was like brilliant, because all they remembered is him boop, 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 ding, 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 ding. Like he would keep the round close, boxing, kind of even. And then when his friend in the crowd, because when they tick the thing on the ring, it's only 10 seconds. So he had his friend scream out when it's 30 seconds, where he had time to really put some combos together. And he would just flurry on them at the end of every round, and he would steal rounds like that. I mean, and then also think about it. Marvin Hagler was knocking out everything. He was the most dominating champion at the time. Sugar Ray Leonard had been retired for 5 years. No fights, no training, no sparring. And he came right out of retirement to a super fight. He didn't have no warm-up fights. He didn't have any soft touches. He came right to Hagler. And then he was
Right.
so smart, he negotiated for a bigger ring, a 20-foot ring instead of a 16 or 18, 22-foot ring. After might have even been 24, but I know it was at least 22 feet. And then he got the fight to be a 12-rounder instead of a 15-rounder, which Hagler was accustomed to fighting, because he knew he had a chance to not gas out and hurry up and win. In the 12th round, you only got to win 7 rounds. So
Right. All right. So T Diddy,
the thinking man game, Sugar Ray Leonard. That's
so T
Ray
Diddy,
Leonard
he said that's what my boy and my dad said. Leonard won. I say it's a draw and deserved a rematch.
Well, you'll never know, because Hagler never boxed again, and he left the country and moved to Italy and never came back to America. Ray Leonard ruined that guy, man. He went from the dominating champion to he retired and moved out the country. Now that's a loss. That's
and Dominique said, and it was 3 years, lots of laughs. And Haler and Mugabe was a classic also.
He's probably talking about Hagler and Mugabe. Hell yeah. Man, that's what makes Ray Leonard's performance even better, man. This belt is heavy, man. I ain't gonna lie. Shit.
Yeah, he said he wants to know, is that belt heavy, bro?
Hell yeah, this thing heavy, man. I don't think I'm gonna sit it down. I think I showed it enough. If y'all on Facebook, go to my boxing site, None So Strong Boxing, and you'll get all the updates, all the fights, free pay-per-views, all that. Let's go.
Right.
I like this live thing, because we can actually talk with people that actually know boxing. Most of the time, people ask you the silliest questions. I swear to God. You like, did you put any thought into that? Like, at least research, Google, do something, bro.
Right.
He was that. Mad facts. Oh, Hagler a beast, man. Hagler, one of my favorite fighters ever, just based on that war, that mentality, and the strength and the conditioning. Goodness gracious.
So T Diddy, let me ask you this, and I say this all the time. Now, this is just my own personal opinion. Dominique said he got rolled out. He said he sounds like my partner. He said I'm out of here. But T Diddy, let me ask you this though. What is it about fighters from the 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe a little bit of early 90s? You know, like I said, the Hagler, the Hearns, the Mugabes, the Julian Jacksons, the Sugar Ray Leonards. Why does it seem like those guys? Why were they able to go 12, 15 rounds, and you think that they still in the second and third round of a fight, versus guys now they're catching and gasping to win the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round, and they just barely give you enough to 11th and 12th. Why is the conditioning then different than what it is now? Do you think guys now rely too much on supplements, the snack, and all the other stuff versus just hard road work?
You know, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that question, because I've been racking my brain trying to figure this out. You know what I mean? And I have an answer for everything. This is the first time I'm stumped. Like, I'm so amazed at the conditioning of the fighters back in the day. Like, me fighting, I know how hard these rounds are. And it's like, even sparring, you can barely spar over 4, 5, 6 rounds. I mean, and I'm thinking about them hard toe-to-toe 15-round fights, haggling them, Duran, and I'm like, God, what were they doing that we're not doing? You know what I mean? Because look at Ali. He can dance for 15. I mean, and you can't tell his first round from his last round. Exactly. And I'm like, what was they doing? So I just go back and I watch all the training, and I watch what they're doing, and I just see a lot. I see a lot of road work.
Right.
Because you got to think about it. Muhammad Ali never hit the hand pads. So all the stuff that Mayweather do, Ali, the greatest fighter ever, he never hit the hand pad one time in his life. So people be thinking
Oh, I
it's
didn't
all
know
about
about
the
that
pad
fact.
work.
Okay.
People think it's all about the pad work. You got the greatest fighters ever never hit the pads a day in their life. So, you
All
know,
right, T.
it's
Diddy.
like,
Yeah, T. Diddy got another question for you from Dominique Lavelle. Who do you want to get in there with next? And what's your pre-fight meal and post-fight meal?
I ain't gonna lie, man, the pre-fight meal and the post-fight meal are polar opposites. Because you think about it, pre-fight, you still being very strict with yourself and very technical and healthy. Post-fight,
Even as a heavyweight, because heavyweights don't even have a weight requirement to meet.
yeah, but you still have, this is what I do. Heavyweights, you still have a target weight. So you always think like at the beginning of camp or midway, what do I want to weigh in at? What do I feel healthy at? What did I weigh in my last fight? What did I lay in? What's my best weight? So you're fighting against yourself because you want to be your healthiest, you want to be your slickest, you want to be your most energetic self. Like, and you know, I've been experimenting with that. So the last 5 months, I've been vegan. And I've been feeling like I've been having a whole lot more energy being vegan. And
Okay.
it's just different things. Like I've taken my health, especially that I'm older now, I've taken my health so much more serious. The type of water I drink, the supplements I drink. I have high level health beneficiary stuff, superfoods. I don't eat meat, and you know, it's just like it's a lot of stuff going into health. Like I wish I would have known about this health stuff a lot earlier in life, and
Right.
that's why I give it to my kids. Like they're growing up, and the way they, even this water, like man, if
Premium
you see
plus.
everything that I have here is like we can do another video I can show you, but my health is off the chain. Like people don't even know that my age or act like my age, look like my age, fight like my age. And what it is I'm really, really, really healthy. Thanks to God and thanks to just knowledge of you. When they say you are what you eat, that is true. Like I actually get a mental edge when I'm about to fight, knowing that I'm vegan or whatever, and I'm thinking about this guy as a certain meat eater, or he,
Right.
you know, eating beef or pork or whatever you eating. I'm
Right.
like, man, he got to be unhealthy on the inside. Like I'm gonna hit him with a body shot. Something ain't right. You putting that trash into your body, like something ain't right, and it's gonna show in the fight. And I'm like, because if you ever run, like I have my fighter, I train fighters too. I have my fighter run a 5-minute mile. Try to run a 5-minute round, man. Everything in you has to be right. It's like a car engine. Every
Man,
part
that's hard.
lubed and greased. Your body exploding on the inside when you're at a certain fitness level, you
Right.
know. And I run a 6-minute mile, 6 minute and change, like, and I'm a heavyweight. So
Yeah,
since
I gotta say you moving up.
I
You
made him
moving.
run a 5-minute mile.
And look, and he also want to know who did you want to get in there with next? Anybody in particular?
Okay, yeah, I want to fight Andy Ruiz again. That's who I want to fight. As y'all seen, if y'all were tuned in earlier and seen the fight, I was handling that bum easily. The guy hit me 0 times in a round, besides the behind the head illegal shots in the UFC takedown. I want to fight Andy Ruiz again, but I want to fight any of the up and coming prospects, because all they do is they think they bring you in for a loss, and then you upset somebody and everything. I've done it many a times in my career. I did it when I fought the champion in Mexico. they brought me in to lose, and I beat him and retired him, and that's how I got the Andy Ruiz fight. They didn't just give me these fights with the top guys. I always had to beat somebody to get the fight, and it was always an upset win. Who's the new guy? What's going on?
All right, that's Alejandro. Is one of the guys that goes out and cover fights for me in Vegas and in Cali.
How you guys doing tonight? Just got out of work and I saw you guys were live.
Yeah. I'm glad you hopped on here, man.
Hey,
I gotta get my StreamYard fixed.
Folks. 5 wins. Ooh. Killing
Champ
folks.
out here killing folks out. 5 minutes. 5 minute. Ooh, oh, because you had the guy run 5 minutes.
Oh yeah. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. He almost died. Like he would get to 0.7 of the mile and he would quit every time. And then I started getting him to 0.8 of the mile and he would quit. So that's when I ran my big 275-pound older self. I got on there and ran the 6 minute, and he watched me run the 6 minute mile. And right after that, the next time he ran the 5 minute mile. He said, if you can persevere and do, because, I'm slow. He didn't think, nothing about because he's a little 20-year-old middleweight, slim, 8 abs, 10 abs. Like, he's so in shape. And he couldn't do it. And when he seen my big butt get on there and grind, and I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit at 0.4 of the mile. 0.4.
Yeah.
But I knew he was watching. And I was like, and I'm his trainer. So I'm like, if I quit, this motherfucker, he gonna quit. But if I show him, so I just kept going. And I was hoping he walked off and didn't look. But he was just looking at the time and looking at me. So I kept going. And I felt like I was about to die. And I kept going, and I ended up hitting the 6 minute mile. And he hit the 5 minute mile every time after that. He's like, I gave him motivation to try it. And if somebody as big as me, as old as me, can run a 6 minute mile, somebody, slim and as him and young as him can, and he ran the 5 minute mile every time. He's undefeated. He never lost any fights. The guy I trained, and he's just a step above, just conditioning wise, because I'm making him do all the stuff I didn't do. And all the mistakes I made, I make sure he don't make it.
Right.
That's how I go, man. Do as I say, not as I do. Remember that.
Yeah. So Alejandro, I brought T Diddy on. Is one of my friends right here in Houston, Texas. Nice. And I go watch him fight, watch him train. And, we done a couple of podcasts together, but, I told him I wanted us to start possibly on Mondays. Well, I know you get off work late, but definitely on Mondays, we want to start doing a live stream every Monday at 9. So that way we can talk about the current fights.
When I retire, I want to be and I need your help with this. I want to be a boxing commentator. And because I have 45 pro fights right now. I mean, I've been in there with 5 world champions, and I know the game. And when I watch fights, I'm so excited. I'm colorful. I'm crazy when I'm watching fights. I'm relaxed right now, but
yeah.
When I'm actually watching fights, people I want to watch the fight with you just because you bring some. Even when I watch basketball, I like basketball more than boxing. So,
really?
I mean,
Alejandro, he's been in there with guys like Andy Ruiz. We got on here Charles Martin. He's been in there with Shannon Briggs, Adam Kalinacki. He's been in there with Chris Arreola. A lot of the top guys that are up there now.
Hey,
very
Chris
impressive.
Arreola told me I was the hardest fight he had since Klitschko. I was like, dang.
Damn.
That man actually told me that.
That's awesome. Yeah, we should definitely make it a Monday event and start sharing it through social media so we can start growing. And
please,
I agree.
Charles Martin, put him to sleep.
But they don't realize you fought. You know Chad Perez?
Who is Chad Pereira?
I don't know, but Chad, T. Diddy already fought Charles Martin way back in 2014 when Charles Martin was 13 and 0.
Right now, me and Charles Martin are like best friends. Chad, no beating Charles Martin. That's my little bro. He called me big bro, so I call him little bro. We're like, nah, I just got off of FaceTime with Charles Martin. Come on.
So what do you guys think of this? Like, to be honest, what do you guys think about this fight being on pay-per-view?
Well, T. Diddy had answered that. Yeah.
I think it's worth the money, man. This is a heavyweight explosion. The heavyweight division has always fueled boxing. The heavyweight division has always been, when boxing is down, is when the heavyweights are down. Like, we don't have any good heavyweight fighters. Boxing has, even though the little fighters like Mayweather and Pacquiao, they tried to bring it, but boxing, whenever there's a dominant heavyweight champion, boxing as a whole benefits. There's more revenue, there's more pay-per-view buys, there's more excitement, because, I mean, people like what they fear. And when they know that a man like Mike Tyson, somebody can knock you out with one punch, I mean, the little guys might hit each other 100, 200, 300 times and get a knockout, but the big guys, I mean, one shot.
Yeah, one shot.
Fight with Deontay Wilder versus Dominic Brazil. You know, just one shot. You just get in there and boom, get out of here. You don't got to fight for 12 rounds and 10 rounds. And most heavyweight fights should end in a knockout. Most heavyweight fights should end in knockouts. I mean, because...
So from your experience of fighting all these great fighters, which one was the most difficult fight you had? And who was the one that you're like, God damn, you'd be great, from your experience in the ring?
The most difficult fight. That's a good question. Like I said earlier before you got on, a lot of my losses were not actual losses in my head, because like I fought Shannon Briggs on 2 days notice.
Yeah.
I fought Ariola on like 2-3 week notice, which was decent because I fought on such quick notice. Like, I fought a guy on 12 hours notice before, and I upset him. He started off 15-0. If you go look at my record, the guy started off 15-0, and then he started losing to people like David Tua and stuff like that. And then he tried to fight me, and they called me on 12-hour notice, and I took the fight, and I beat him. Like, it was like a lot of my fights that I lost. So I really don't give people, if I didn't train and you beat me, or like I'm coming in off the couch, I'm not really up here saying, yeah, you were the hardest. Like I told Sean earlier, if you train for 8 weeks and I train for 8 weeks, may the best man win. You know, if you train 12 weeks, I train 12 weeks, may the best man win. Even some fighters train 16 weeks. But if you bringing guys in 3, 4, 5 days notice, and then you don't tell the public, and all they doing is watching TV, and they see one guy get tired quick or get caught with a shot and can't recover, because recovering from punches has to do with your conditioning. The more conditioned you are, the more you can take a punch. In which the reverse works also. The less conditioned you are, the less your punch resistance is, because your legs. And then another thing is, boxers, they have to sacrifice sexual intercourse. So if you take a fight on short notice, of course you've been having sexual relations because you didn't even know a fight was coming up. You know what I mean? And Lord forbid somebody who drinks or smokes. Like, I never had a drink in my life. I never done any. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I'm a vegan. All that stuff. Like, that's only recently with the vegan, but I never did drugs anyway. So some guys like Emmanuel Burton, Emmanuel Augustus, they smoking weed and they get a call on Friday notice. They beat the champion, and then they don't give him the belt because he tests positive for marijuana. Well, damn, how can marijuana help you in a boxing match? Marijuana,
Right.
you should give him more credit for testing positive for marijuana. It's different if he tests positive for PEDs and performance enhancement drugs or something like that. But this is, and if the man took the fight on Friday notice, he didn't know that he wasn't supposed to be smoking. You know what I mean? So it's just, it's a lot of politics and different things like that. So in my career, I don't know anybody who actually beat me and I was actually in shape. You know what I mean?
And a full training
for
camp.
me to give them proper credit that, yeah, this guy was my toughest fighter, this guy. And that's the credit I give to Charles Martin, who's fighting on this show. Charles Martin, I was actually in decent shape and I ended up losing that fight, but I wasn't in top shape, but I was in decent shape. And he's a 6'6" southpaw. Couldn't find much sparring like that. And, you know, and I give him, and, you know, he got shot in the arm or something like that, but
yeah,
that's one of the hardest punches I ever faced that I could actually give credit to. I would be Charles Martin. I mean, after the fight, my forehead, you know, when like babies are born and they have those soft heads, the soft spot in their head. You know, my forehead was kind of had a few soft spots, man. I'm like, damn. So I never even told Charles that, but yeah, I'm gonna tell him when I go to this fight this weekend.
All right, we also got a question here from
punch. I was hoping that gunshot didn't mess up his punching power because it was in his powered hand. It was in his left arm. But nah, he's recovered and he can punch. And if you think about it, I'm hoping that those knockouts that Luis Ortiz suffered, the Deontay Wilder, has some type of lingering effect. I mean, because when you've been knocked out cold.
Yeah, it's easier to get knocked out the next time.
Yeah,
you're not the same.
And the only problem is he's always winning every round, and he'll knock you out. But I'm hoping Charles. I know Charles is a puncher because I fought him. So,
Teddy also got another question here from Chad. He said, being a heavyweight, David Tua versus Mike Tyson, in your opinion, who would have won?
Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson. This is what people got to realize. Iron Mike Tyson is one of the greatest fighters ever. People don't give him credit for that because the way I judge a fighter is how good does he fight in his prime. I'm not going to count the loss that Joe Louis had to Rocky Marciano. Joe Louis was an old man. The prime Joe Louis would have knocked out Rocky Marciano. But if you go back on the records, Rocky Marciano beat Joe Louis. Okay, what version of Joe Louis did he beat? You know what I mean? And fighters, most fighters, let's say 99% of fighters, they fight past their prime. And they're a shell of themselves, and weaker opposition beat them at the end of the road because they don't know when to hang it up. And they keep thinking, I got one more fight left in me. I got one more. I still feel good. And then look how many times Sugar Ray Leonard retired and came back. So, I mean, even Ali, that fight with Ali and Larry Holmes, oh, my God, that should have never happened. You know what I mean? So did Larry Holmes beat Ali? In my opinion, no. Not the real Ali. He beat that old. I mean, Larry Holmes was Ali's sparring partner. He beat up on Larry Holmes every day of the week. So it was like Larry Holmes got his whole style from Muhammad Ali. You know how they saying Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan style? Larry Holmes, Muhammad Ali's whole swag, his whole style. I mean, not saying that it's something bad, but just give credit where credit is due. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, what's your opinion about these YouTubers fighting, like the Jake Pauls and all them? In your opinion, is it good or bad?
Well, I think it's good. I'm gonna say I think it's good because they're bringing new eyes to the sport, more exposure, and some of those fans could be residual fans. Like, even after Jake Paul retires or get knocked out, which he will, those fans are still boxing fans because they didn't bought 2, 3, 4, 5 pay-per-views and they like boxing. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, if you have 20 million followers and they're gonna tune in and buy a boxing pay-per-view and they know nothing about boxing, it's good for the sport because those 20 million people they're not even boxing fans. They wouldn't have tuned in for a boxing fight. So the exposure part of it is great. And, it's all about the public demanding quality fights. They should demand that he actually fights a boxer. I was just thinking about this the other day. Maybe I should call out Jake Paul. I'm older now. I'm a heavyweight. And sooner or later, he has to fight a real boxer. So maybe he can say, okay, I'm over the hill. I'm a real boxer. And he can try me or something. I don't know. Maybe I should try that.
Were you shocked that he knocked out Tyron Woodley?
Yes. But this is the thing that I don't like about the knockout. This is what I hope boxing fans understand. When somebody gets knocked out, don't forget about everything that happened before the knockout, because the fight was totally horrible until the knockout.
It was.
But once a knockout happened, you forget everything and just make a highlight reel of the knockout and run it on the loop. You forget that the fight was totally trash. So just judge somebody for the complete body of work is what I'm saying. Like, when you see a fight, it's good that it ended in knockout, but like, if the guy didn't look good, you'll be like, you still need to get back in the gym. You still need to work your jab. You still need to get your conditioning up. Your defense was lacking. Like, give an honest assessment. It's not like the guy just came in and threw a punch and knocked the guy out. I mean, the fight was horrible until the knockout. And the thing about knockouts is a knockout erases all guilt, all sins, all debt. So once he knocked in, the knockout but let me give Jake Paul credit. The knockout was so devastating. Goodness gracious. I mean, Tyron Woodley should never, ever show his face in public again. The good thing about Woodley is he's financially compensated. So I'm happy that, life is give or take. I'm happy that he now never has to worry about money for him and his family. But he's the cornerstone of all jokes and memes, but he's financially set for life, which he wasn't before the Jake Paul fights. He made more money fighting Jake Paul than he made his entire UFC career when he was 5-time champion in the UFC. Just think about that.
Chad says that they're lining up Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. for him.
I think about, would I get knocked out just to make sure my kids never want for anything, just to make sure the house is paid off and the college funds are. I guess I could be the butt of a joke for my kids, if you look at it in that perspective. So I think, he's a winner in life, but he just got to stay out you have to stay out the public eye though. After that, you just got to be happy that your family is paid off and just stay out the public eye. That's it.
So about that Chavez Jr. thing, I've been looking into it. So Chavez Jr. came out saying that he's willing to fight Jake Paul for, like, if he loses, he don't want to be paid. But now reports are coming out that he wants 50-50 because he was a former champion. And it's like, his dad must have.
Chavez Jr. had a Lamborghini when he first started boxing. In his first 20 fights, he had a Lamborghini. So This guy's
So
all about the money. He's a spoiled brat. I actually rode in a limo with Chavez Jr. before, and his dad. They came to Houston, and they were promoting the fight, and we were at George Foreman's boxing gym, and then we linked up, and we kind of hit it off because I could speak Spanish. And they asked me, did I want to ride in the limo? They were going to a press conference. I rode with them and all that. I used to really like him, but when he fought Canelo and the way he jumped up in weight, like, do anybody remember what Chavez Jr., what weight he turned pro at?
he was at, I believe, 147, right?
He was like,
he was small because
130 something.
Yeah, he was in the 40s because when he started fighting, they did a San Diego show because I live in San Diego. And they were fighting at a casino, and that was the first time I went to a media workout. And he was like a bag of bones. He was a little kid. But now he gained so much weight and just not being disciplined. He had to keep moving up in weight.
Yeah,
but
and then he still don't make weight. No matter how big the weight is, he don't make weight. It don't matter. Like, he can't even make 170. Like So
now they're coming out with reports that Jake Paul's gonna fight McGregor in summer. There's literally everybody's reporting on it. I don't know if it's true yet, no, like official. But what do you think? That you guys think that would be a great pay-per-view success?
Yes. If he fights Conor McGregor, they're gonna make boatloads of money. Boatloads. I mean, boatloads like yachts. I mean, there's so much money. Think about it. This is the argument that I have when everybody say what's better, boxing or MMA. First of all, boxing been around longer. Obviously, it's boxing. I mean, I love MMA. I don't have nothing against you MMA fighters. But, I mean, I didn't make up this. The facts are the facts. So, instead of trying to compete with boxing, assimilate. You know, like, respect our sport. We respect your sport. There should be no competing. Which one is better? Just love all the combat sports. That's what I would do. But Conor McGregor's biggest MMA purse was $2 million before he fought Mayweather. The biggest check he ever made, ever, $2 million. Then he fights Mayweather and makes $100 million in one fight. You tell me which sport is better. And we have the Muhammad Ali Act, which protects boxers from being unjustly paid or scammed or whatever. But in MMA, y'all let Dana White run a dictatorship. Like, you can't pick who you fight. He tell you what you're getting paid. You can't have endorsements. Like, that is crazy. I don't know why people are letting Dana White do this for so long. Okay, like, if that's the program at first, I understand, but everything evolves with time, and there's no way that this guy should be monopolizing. He worse than Castro in Cuba. I mean, like,
Vince McMahon, WWE.
It's horrible. I mean, like, everybody should just boycott or stop fighting until he agreed to the terms or something, because it's crazy. I think that Muhammad Ali Act is both good and bad when it comes to being able to see the fights we want to see. And that is the biggest argument for all these Dana White MMA junkies is, I will admit that the matching of the fighters is more competitive. He make the hardest fighters fight the hardest fighters, but it's because he dictate everything. And think about it, if it was your career, you can't even pick and choose what you do. You know what I mean? Like, you want some say-so in your career. It's like, fight him or you don't fight. You know, fight him or shut up. It's kind of like that. And if you were a fan, I could see how you would like that. But as a fighter, do you want somebody with absolute control over you? That's just crazy. I mean, it's a prize fighting. You're putting your life on the line. So you should be compensated. I mean, fighters, at least in boxing, fighters die almost every year. I know at least 5 fighters that have died in my boxing career. Close friends of mine. And you want to say that money gets in the way? The lack of money gets in the way. Because think about fighters who taking fights just for the money, or taking fights when they're not in shape because they need the money. You know, money is when you're more compensated, when you're more secure financially, you can make better decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think he was talking about money gets in the way. I think he was talking about not that he doesn't think fighters shouldn't get paid money, but money gets in the way between promoters. Well, man, he gets this, he gets that. All right, hold on, we got Chaz popping on the stream.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Chad.
First of all, man, respect to you coming on the show. Like, this is my first time even coming on, man. You guys got a good thing going. So I want to say I appreciate that, number one. Mad respect to you. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. The actual boxer on the channel.
His name is T. Diddy. Also goes by Lorenzo Smith.
Lorenzo?
Morenzo.
Okay, cool. Morenzo.
But he goes by T. Diddy.
Okay, T. Diddy. What I don't want to disrespect. You want me to call you T. Diddy?
Yeah, whatever you want to. T. Diddy, Morenzo, Tuffy, whatever is cool.
Cool, man. No, man. Again, thank you for being on here. I put on the chat, like, I didn't mean any disrespect with like Charles Martin. Like, this is just my opinion, you know. But you know, so I know he's your boy. I apologize. But when it comes to the Muhammad Ali Act, man, what I meant by that is that I think it can be good and bad. But I think boxing as a whole needs some reform when it comes to having an organization similar to Dana White. I do agree with you that he's underpaying his fighters severely in some cases. You know, in other cases, I mean, if you're a top dog, you're getting paid some money, you know, because obviously you got the pay-per-view kickback. But I can level with you on that. But when it comes to boxing itself, I feel like money gets in the way of us seeing the fights that we actually want to see in the time that we want it. Look back at Mayweather Pacquiao. Even now, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. I know these aren't your divisions, but these are just the divisions that are hot outside of the heavyweight division. I feel like heavyweights are getting in there with each other, you know, at this moment. You know, we'll see with Usyk and Tyson Fury, or if Tyson Fury goes and fights Dillian White because he's a mandatory. We'll see what happens.
Dillian White's a bum. He shouldn't even get a fight with Tyson Fury. I can't believe
I think he would beat Charles Martin. Just my opinion. I do think he'd beat Ortiz, honestly, too. And I'm not a Dillian White fan either. To me,
so
still,
do you think he beats Otto Wallin?
Dillian White, that's a closer fight, but I think that Dillian pulls it out. Man, the only thing about Dillian is that he leaves his chin open, man. That's the only thing. But I mean, he does have some somewhat lateral movement every now and then. He can hang, man. He can hang. But I do think that he might be a little chinny.
Do you justify the move that he pulled him and Eddie Hearns to get this, to petition for this Tyson Fury fight? He had a fight with Otto Wallin, and he pulled out with a fake injury. And instead of rescheduling the fight, he immediately said he wanted to be mandatory for Tyson Fury. Like, what happened to the fight that you signed the contract for?
Oh, I agree.
Like, you signed the contract.
A man without a word is a man without balls, man. That's plain and simple. Without a word.
It's chess with Eddie Hearns, because he said you could possibly get knocked out by Otto Wallin for little money. But you're 100%. Already mandatory, so why don't you just fake an injury pull out the fight, and then we would exercise your mandatory status against Tyson Fury without even fighting the guy that you're assigned to fight. That is
Exactly. I know. I disagree with that
They
100%.
shouldn't have. No one should allow him to do that.
And that's why I'm saying these regulations. There should be more regulations. Like if you're pulling out for an injury, you got to fight the guy you signed the contract for.
Exactly.
Plain and simple.
What happened to
Plain
the
and simple.
injury? Now he want to fight Tyson Fury. He's not injured. What the?
Yeah, no, I agree. I
Man.
do see, but again, if you go down to like, I'll put an example. These promoters, Top Rank, PBC, and obviously with the Teofimo Cambozas, like you saw a bunch of upsets this past year. Why? Because Cambozas was a mandatory, but if you look at a Tank Davis fighting this Cruz, right? He fought Cruz and he got a fight that was closer than he thought it was going to be. So like, why? I do get that part with Eddie Hearn. Why risk losing to a fighter who is going to cost you more at the end? Cost you these big paydays. I get that, but if you signed a fight, you need to finish.
You signed the contract to fight him. You should have never fought him. You should have just waited
Yeah,
out
yeah.
the little mandatory stuff. You didn't have to sign that fight.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree with that fact for sure. But I do get the thinking of Eddie Hearn, which he should have thought of this before he went and signed the contract with Otto Wallen. Like that's the thing. But I do think these promoters need to be thinking in that way when it comes to, hey, let's stop putting our fighters in with lesser competition, because you're gonna have these rocky moments, and then it's not gonna look good for the fighters you've been sort of having them on a protection track, or step by step moving them up. You know what I'm saying?
The good thing is, if he would have actually fought Otto Wally and beat him, that would have put him in a much more deserving spot for that championship.
Absolutely.
Instead of trying to maneuver around and play chess. Because to me, that makes me think that you just want the payday. You don't even think, if you don't trust your skills against Otto Wallen, why would you trust your skills against Tyson Fury?
Exactly. Otto Wallen gave Tyson Fury some trouble too. I remember that fight. That was the one
I
that he
actually
fought.
I bet on Otto Wallen. He would have beat Dylan White up. Otto Wallen got true skill.
He does, and that's.
Like,
I think he's better than both Ortiz and I hate to bring this up again, Charles Martin. I think he's better than both of them. I'm sorry. I just think that Otto Wallen's actually a quality boxer, and he proved that against Tyson Fury, who's arguably the number one at the heavyweight division. So I don't know. I just think that moving forward, it's not a good look for Dillian White to pull out because of an injury, and then
well, the thing is, no one's holding him accountable. Everyone's forgetting about it. Now they're just saying Dillian White mandatory, Dillian White mandatory for Tyson Fury. Dillian White. Let's talk about the split, the purse split.
Right.
No one's even. I'm the only one bringing that Otto Wallen fight up. Like no one's like it's like it never happened.
That's true. In all honesty, I didn't even hear about Otto Wallen signing a contract with Dillian White. Had no idea. So that tells you how under wraps it is.
2 weeks before the fight, and then petition Tyson Fury 2 weeks after that.
Yeah. No, I get that for sure, man. Because I know that affects
medical proof. What is injury at? What happened?
Oh yeah, you took some money away from families, man. When it comes to the whole training staff and the boxer himself. So I mean that's a big deal, man.
I said, okay, you mandatory, beat Otto Wallen, and then you get the fight next. Simple as that.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, who's Tyson gonna fight at this point? Soft touch. Honestly, I think that's what he's gonna fight next, is a pretty soft touch, and then wait for Usyk. I think that's it, man.
You think he could fight Andy Reese?
Need to start looking out for is Jared Anderson, Big Baby Anderson. I sparred him. Good.
Oh, I like him. I like him.
That's what y'all need. It's some up. Y'all thinking about the old names who you can fight, but it's a lot of upcomers who's gonna be some problems. The only
yes, they are.
this matchmaking on this Martin Ortiz card is
Can you hear us?
Frank Sanchez fighting Carlos Negron.
Hey, T Diddy, one guy that I was looking out for that I thought.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, you know what? One of the guys that I thought that was going to do really good was F.A. Ajabi. And until he lost to Frank Sanchez by unanimous decision. Even though I like Jared Anderson, Big Baby, I really thought F.A. Ajabi was going to do something. But I'm not so sure right now. I want to see how he's going to bounce back, after this loss to Frank Sanchez, who's actually fighting on this undercard.
Yo, I would love to see Hellenius, who just beat Kowalski, Adam Kowalski, or I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but come in and get a get back fight with Hellenius and a Jabe. I think that would be a good matchup. Yeah. Either that or even Wilder's get back fight. I think Hellenius showed some potential. I don't think he beats the guys, but I think he has shown some potential to kind of mix it up within the heavyweight division as well to test some fighters coming up.
Right.
So what do you guys think? Will Wilder ever fight again, or was that it for him? Or because I heard an interview that he was still considering to fight, but you think he would be able to be effective and be able to win some big fights again?
I believe so. I don't think he's done in the heavyweight division. I think he's easily still top 3, man.
Right.
I think he's better than Joshua.
Right. And if you think about it, there's only one guy that's been able to beat him, and that's just Tyson Fury. Nobody else has been able to beat him. And Tyson Fury, he's one of those heavyweights. Matter of fact, I got a video coming out later this week where I'm ranking Tyson Fury as one of the top 5 best heavyweights of all time. Especially, he get a couple more wins like over Usyk, if he beats Usyk, and let's say if he does face Anthony Joshua. If he beats Usyk and Anthony Joshua, definitely putting him in my top 5 of all time, Tyson Fury.
Yeah, no, I think if he beats Usyk, that's a huge win, man. That's a huge win under his belt. You have an undisputed champion coming up from cruiser with a lot of skill, a lot of herky-jerky movement, and I think it's gonna be a chess match. It's definitely not gonna be just this explosive type match, but when it comes to just throwing haymakers, and who knows, it might surprise us, but I definitely think it's going to be a chess match and a lot of herky-jerky movement. You're going to see probably the Tyson Fury that fought Vitaly or Vladimir Klitschko. Very similar. And I think it's going to be a great fight, man. But man, Joshua for me is easily probably still top 4, top 5. So I wouldn't put too much weight in a Joshua win right now, just because I think he's mentally fragile. I think he's missing a lot when it comes to identity too.
It's just this you hit it right on the nail, Chad. The only problem that AJ has is confidence. That's it. Just confidence. If he can get his confidence back, I mean, definitely top 2, top 3 heavyweight, man. He just ever since that Andy Ruiz fight, he's been shell shocked. He's afraid to let that right hand go, which I'm shocked because that kind of happened to him with Klitschko. But maybe because he was younger then, he didn't have as much fear. He got right back up and fought Klitschko hard. But after the Andy Ruiz fight, I was just really shocked how shell shocked he is to let that right hand go. He has power in that right hand, but he's afraid to let it go because he's afraid to get countered now.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that, man. I think that Joshua is dealing with some identity issues when it comes to who he wants to be as a boxer. Does he want to be a slugger, all power, or is he trying to be a boxer? And I think once he finds that out, I honestly think that a trainer like Sugar Hill would be great for an Anthony Joshua. I honestly do. I think Sugar could possibly bring some of that confidence back to him.
Oh yeah,
And
Sugar Hill for AJ Anthony Joshua. Yeah, that would be good for him.
yeah, but any Tyson's trainer too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some conflict there, but yeah, I definitely think that he needs a change in trainer to help just reinvigorate him, man. Honestly, I don't think it's necessarily the trainer's doing anything crazy wrong. I think it's just just some new scenery.
You know what? It's funny that you said that. You know who I thought about today, Chaz? There's one trainer I thought about today for AJ, and I really gave this a lot of thought. There's one trainer that I personally, when it comes to giving directions in the corner, I'm not so high on a horse with him. But if you want a trainer that's going to motivate you, that's going to build your confidence, it's going to be Virgil.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's going to be Andre Ward's
the Whisperer
trainer. Yeah, man. I mean, like when I watch him, like first of all, he don't have to say nothing to Andre Ward. Andre Ward is like Floyd Mayweather. Andre didn't need Virgil, and Floyd didn't need Roger in the corner. They already know what to do. I like those guys. They know how to adjust on their own. Yeah, I mean they're good at that. But when you see him train people like Amir Khan and others, all I hear Virgil in the corner. Man, you in shape. Man, didn't you just run 5 miles? Man, didn't we just put in 12 rounds of sparring? Like it was all motivation. I'm looking like Amir Khan's getting beat. Like, don't you need to give him some instructions? So I look at Virgil as definitely a motivator. Like, I think Virgil could actually help mentally because he's from the military too, right? So I think mentally he can actually get AJ where he needs to be.
Yeah, I think Amir Khan's probably a bad example because I don't think Amir Khan's career built very much momentum. He fought Canelo, got knocked out. He fought Terrence Crawford, got knocked out. Like, it's just like it's.
Who else was it? What was it? Andre Berto? Didn't he train Andre Berto?
He trained Andre Berto for a little bit, but
Hunter.
Yeah, the tail end of careers. I haven't seen a fighter build momentum back up with Virgil off the top of my head, but I get what you're saying. I do think that AJ needs somebody like that to build that mental confidence back up when it comes to his ability, man. Just like reminding him that, hey, look, you did put this work in, and your body is conditioned and trained and ready to do what it's what you guys have been training for in the entire training camp. So I definitely get that, man. I do think that he needs a new trainer. Just start anew, man. Even if he loses to Usyk, like he took that immediate rematch. So we'll see what happens in the rematch. But I definitely think there should be somebody else, man. Even Barry Hunter, man. I like Barry Hunter as a trainer as well, man. I think he did a great job with Lamont Peterson. That's a guy who'll get you up. I totally feel that for him too. So we'll see what happens though.
What about Teddy Atlas?
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Teddy would be good.
I mean, he's not with ESPN anymore.
Yeah. AJ was here in the United States maybe a month ago, and the reason he was here at San Diego and he went to visit Canelo and his team. He also went to Texas, I believe, to meet with the Charlos trainer.
Ronnie Shields.
Ronnie Shields. Yeah. Yep, love him.
So there were rumors going around that he was shopping for a new camp or a new coach or whatever. So you never know.
Hey, Alejandro, let's ask T. Diddy. T. Diddy, you spent years and years with Ronnie Shields. You know what type of trainer he is. Would he be good for AJ?
Hell no. Nah.
Why wouldn't he be a good fit for AJ?
What would you?
He's not a good fit for nobody.
Really? What? Tell us more, man. Because I mean, you got Jermell under his belt, and you got Erislandy Lada.
No, Jermell left. Jamal stayed. Jermell left from underneath Ronnie.
Oh, Jermell left?
Yep, Jamal stayed, but Jermell left. Jermell left and went with Derek James.
Okay, there's some cracks in the armor there because Jamal still hasn't fought nobody, not a single thing. Not a single fighter, man. Derevyanchenko, I'm telling you, I got some hate for some of these promoters, man. But PBC, they have this this thing of like, man, if you lose well, you're gonna get in with the top fighters for the next 3 years. We're gonna suck you dry, of any kind of momentum you have coming out of that loss. So Derevyanchenko is one of those things, man. You lost well, so now you get a champion in Jamal Charlo, which should have been an easy touch, but obviously I think Jamal's the worst of the two brothers. I think Jamel, he pushes himself way harder than Jamal, man. Jamal's just a talker.
Right. I tell you what, I've never seen nobody get more championship shots. I'm gonna see if T Diddy agree with me. I've never seen nobody get more championship title shots than Rocky Juarez. Rocky had like 7 title shots, didn't he?
Heck
T Diddy?
yeah.
Tell the truth.
Shout out.
And I like Rocky. I
like Rocky too. He was from San Antonio, or was he from Houston?
Houston.
Houston, yeah, that's right.
Hey, that's one of my best friends in boxing, man. Shout out to Rocky, man. What's up, Rocky?
I like Rocky, and Rocky. Whoever Rocky had
like Joe Frazier. Rocky got the greatest left hook in the world, man. That boy, Rocky cold, man.
Hey, look, whoever his manager was at the time did a great job of getting him title shots. I think was that Jay Johns? Was Jay Johns his manager at the time or no?
No, Jay Johns is a snake. You could go find him in the swamps, in the weeds, like crawling around, slithering.
Who was his manager?
Him.
I don't know.
Was it the same as Baby Bull?
Baby Bull? I don't know.
Baby Bull was with Savannah. Rocky got a sweet run, man. Rocky got a great life. I know him personally. Like he got a $1.5 million bonus to turn pro from the Olympics. So he was a millionaire before he ever threw a professional punch. So when
that's
you start
crazy.
out,
back when they were giving out bonuses.
Yeah, that's when they was giving that money out. Rocky got that money, man. We partied. Maybe we partied too much. So while we were partying, man, it was.
That was a good era in boxing, though.
Rich and famous, man. When we went somewhere, I loved it. And my favorite Rocky Warriors fight is when he fought this guy named Goody Espadis, something like that. If y'all ever look up that fight, he hit.
Why was that your favorite?
And his nose went all the way to his ear, like, ugh.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to hear like what your thoughts are on Ronnie Shields. Why aren't you a fan of his? Like,
no.
What kind of strays you away from Ronnie?
Damn. Several things. Now that I'm a boxer, but I'm also a trainer now. So now that I'm actually like training people, that's how I'm more critical on trainers now, because now I know what it takes to be, a good trainer. And to me, a good trainer is somebody that can take a fighter from scratch and make him a world champion. My biggest thing with Ronnie Shields is they're feeding him champions already. Like he getting fighters that's pre-made. He's not making them from scratch. He's getting fighters that's coming out the Olympics and coming off the U.S. team and coming off of ex-world champions and all. I mean, it's easy to train somebody who already can fight, but the mark as a trainer is, can you take somebody from nothing to something? That's a trainer. If I train, how hard is it to train Rigondeaux or somebody who already got 2 or 3 gold medals? All you got to do is make sure they in shape. You're not really teaching them nothing. I mean, what did Angelo Dundee teach Muhammad Ali? Nothing.
But can we say that also about Canelo's trainer? Now he's just getting fed on all the champions. Like he brought Canelo up, but after that he doesn't have any other fighters. Now it's just
I agree with that.
Like Ryan Garcia that hasn't done anything, but now yes, Andy Reese and so on that he has chance.
That's
So it's
what
kind of
it is,
like,
man. You get
how good are you?
The same thing with Virgil Hunter. He had Andre Ward, so they started feeding him all these champions, and everybody he trained got beat. They all got knocked
Amen. That's what I was just saying, man. I don't think he ever improved anybody, man.
out. Dude, so you get one good fighter, then they feed you a bunch of people, and they think you're a trainer of the year or something. It's like,
Well,
I mean,
I think what happens when they get fed those champions like that or about to be champions is that by the time they get these guys are stuck in their ways. So there's nothing you can do to really help enhance what they're doing. You might tweak this little, tweak that a little, but 95% of the times they're going to keep doing what they're doing before they came to you.
and then you think about it because you have a strength and conditioning coach, you got a nutritionist. The guy already can fight. I mean, what are you setting up the sparring or something? Like he already in shape. Somebody else getting him in shape. He already know how to fight. What are you actually doing?
Like Manny Pacquiao, whenever he was with Boo Boy, in the Philippines, he would go to Freddie. Freddie, I mean, he was already in shape by the time he got to Freddie, So I feel you on that. I feel you on some of that.
Yeah.
So you got to be critical of the fighters, and you got to be critical of the trainers, and you got to hold everyone to a high standard and actually assess what's actually going on with these people. I mean, Ronnie, he was a great amateur fighter. Not much as a pro, but he did pretty good. But he was a great amateur fighter. And then he got into the system of that main event system coming up under, what's that guy name? The black guy?
Arturo's trainer. Buddy McGirt.
Buddy McGirt?
No, not Buddy McGirt. It's the black guy, Georgie Benton. That's his name. He came up under Georgie Benton them, and then when Georgie Benton retired, since he had been Georgie Benton's assistant, they just passed him the torch. It's like passing it, and now all of a sudden he got all the high-profile fighters. That's how he got Mike Tyson and Holyfield, and I mean all the guys he trained. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like Ronnie. Me and him are very good friends, but I'm just speaking from an analyst point of view right now. Like he's getting ready-made fighters. They're feeding him fighters that already can fight. So all you got to do is get them in shape, let them spar, give them, sound advice, and that's it. It ain't much to do.
Yeah. All right, well, guys, there you have it, man. We're going to get ready to wrap it up. We've been on here almost 2 hours. Hey, Chad, man, we appreciate you hopping on here, man, asking questions to T. Diddy. Listen,
Chad
we're
going pretty knowledgeable. I like that.
Yep. And listen, we're going to be hopping on here. We're going to shoot for those that are listening, we're going to shoot for every Monday around 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So listen, man, T. Diddy, we want to thank you for being on. You're actually going to be the co-host now, along with Alejandro. That's hopefully if things go good with the job, you can get off on time. So
I'm trying to hire supervisors, so it was nothing but interviews today. So I'm like,
all right. Well, there you have it, man. So we're gonna look forward to the upcoming fights this week. T. Diddy, make sure you shoot as much videos you can for me.
I'll be at the Charles Martin and Luis Ortiz fight. So
yeah, give me some interviews, man, and send it to me through WhatsApp. Yeah.
Let's do it.
We'll post it. And listen, guys, man, 2022, let's make some money, man. See if we can get some money coming in with some super chats, some donations, whatever we can get.
See,
sounds good.
Sean is a very smart man. Whatever Sean say, that's what it is.
Alrighty.
All right. Hey, once again, thanks for being on, Chad, T. Diddy, Alejandro. Until next time, we'll chop it up next Monday.
Sounds good. Later, guys.